there aren't that many opportunities for a Wake student to go abroad and still study biology and take science classes and not miss a semester. There are a number of Wake affiliate programs that have those kinds of things, but those aren't Wake programs. So the courses, you know, they get counted for graduation, but your grades don't get counted into your GPA. But this Salamanca program is a Wake Forest program, all right? So it's just like you were taking classes here at Wake Forest. Everything is basically the same. And so we're actually offering 3 science classes, neuroscience methods, sensory biology, and biochemistry. Right now, none of them have a lab, and they're each worth 3 hours. The neuroscience methods class counts towards the major in biology and the minor in neuroscience. The sensory biology class counts towards the major in biology and the minor in neuroscience. Biochemistry counts toward the major in biology, the major in chemistry, and the major in BMB, biochemistry and molecular biology. We're also offering, and by the way, we've run this program once last fall. And all things considering, I think it was a pretty successful program. And I think even if you talk to the students, has anybody talked to students who went last fall? I think they had some problems, but I think for the most part, they were pretty happy with the program and are enthusiastic about the program. We're also offering for the first time a cognitive neuroscience class. And that really only counts toward the neuroscience minor and the psychology major. Then you're also required to take a Spanish course, and that Spanish course depends on your level of Spanish. Right now, there actually, I believe, are some students who have applied for the spring who the first Spanish course they will ever take, they're taking this semester. And then we have some people who have applied for the spring who are native Spanish speakers who are taking lots of Spanish. But you will be required to take a Spanish course. And again, that depends on your level of Spanish. And then you're also required to take an INS course on, it's 1.5 hours, and it's basically the history and culture of Salamanca in Spain. And to me, this is as important as any of the other courses, because if you're going to be in Salamanca and you're going to be in Spain, I really hope you're going to learn something about Salamanca in Spain while you're there. I think this is still the case, but if you're accepted into the program and you go, Wake is fairly generous in what they provide you guys. Marcia, tell me if this has changed, but Wake will actually pay your airfare to Madrid.
This program, just to specify, yes.
Yes, just this program. Now, that's not to say Wake's going to let you fly first class or even business class or even plus class. But I think it's up to $1,600. Is that right?
$15,000.
Up to $1,500. So Wake will pay for that. Wake will pay for any books that you require for any of these courses. You may not get to keep them, but you won't have to put any money for the courses.
And those books are pretty expensive, by the way.
Yes, you know what a biochemistry book costs. Okay. Wake will also, and this is, to me, if not the best part of the program, certainly ranks right up there. There are a number of excursion days built into the semester. Is it 15, 16, Javier?
16.
16 excursion days built. So that means that you guys who were there will go on a bus and travel to some absolutely unbelievable, remarkable places all over Spain. And you'll stay in really nice hotels. And Wake pays for the bus, it pays for the hotels, and it'll even give you a little meal allowance while you're on the excursions. And the best part of it is you will get to do things in Spain and see things in Spain that normal everyday tourists don't ever get to see. And you'll have people on these excursions like Javier and Fernando and guides, really, really knowledgeable guides who will tell you amazing things and let you see things that, like I said, I think most tourists don't get to see. I just don't know if it's going to be the same, but one of the really interesting things about some of the excursions that we went on last fall is we actually went to a number of scientific institutes, and where that was really cool because we got to hear what they did there and learn a little bit of science. If you don't know who, has anybody heard of Ramon y Cajal? Just Google Ramon y Cajal. Okay, he's definitely I don't know if I'm allowed to use this term anymore, but he's the father of modern neuroscience. And he's a Spaniard who won the Nobel Prize. And everybody in Spain knows Cajal. We went to a Cajal museum. I should show that picture. We went to a Cajal museum and learned about Cajal. I don't have it up. I won't show it to you unless I can do this. Can you guys see my screen? Do you
Yep.
see this big statue?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, that's Cajal's head. He had a very big brain. It's a very big head. And that's the group. And that was in front of, I believe, the Cajal Institute in Madrid. And so, and now that I've said all this, Javier, are there trips to, do you think there will be trips to some of these scientific institutes again?
Yeah, what we can assure is that we are going to visit all of them or the same ones, but for sure we will visit some neuroscience institutes and scientific places on our trips. That's one of the major differences from the regular immersion program that will run at the same time as the neuroscience program.
Let me also say that the excursion is basically entirely in English, which is also very much unlike the Spanish immersion program, which is entirely in Spanish. Okay, so the guides you get aren't going to be speaking to you in Spanish. They'll be speaking to you in English. Okay, so that's the excursions. That's really cool. And I'll also tell you, and Javier, I think I read this correctly, that unlike last fall, there actually is a 4 or 5 day break in the schedule where the students are pretty much on their own. Is that true? 3 or 4 days, maybe?
There will be a break. I'm not sure how many days it is because we had to change the schedule for next semester. So, but there will be some break. Yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't get that last fall. So, so that's nice. So you can travel. The classes run Monday through Thursday, and you have the weekends to travel. But you really have to plan this very carefully. If you want to go somewhere else in Europe, and a lot of our students did, and a lot of our students do, you have to pretty much fly out of Madrid, which is 2.5 hour bus ride from Salamanca. I just want to make sure you guys understand that you can't get on an airplane in Salamanca and fly to Paris. And I don't think you can do trains either, not in a short 3 or 4 day weekend.
Let me interrupt you. The spring break would be 6 days.
Okay, but during those 6 days, then you can travel all around Europe if you want. But the weekends are three days. So, and you can see parts of Spain that you haven't seen before. I would highly recommend that you go to Portugal, which is very doable. But having said that, our students went all over Europe last fall. I don't know how they did it, but they did. They were in Italy, they were in Denmark, they were in England. They traveled all over Europe on those weekends. Again, I don't know how they did it, but they told me they did it. So I believe them. So it's doable.
It is. It's a little crazy because you spend a lot of money, but you can do it.
Well, actually, if you're flying like Ryanair and all that stuff, and staying in hostels, it may not be all that expensive. Wake's not going to pay for that, by the way. Okay. So let's see. What else can I tell you? So we were just talking a little while ago about the dorm. You guys will all be staying in a dorm. It's not the same dorm that the other students stayed in last fall. It's a smaller dorm. I've been told that you will each have a single room, and each single room has its own bathroom. That's a nice thing. It's, we're not talking about the Ritz Hotel here, I'm sure. And I don't know how big the rooms are, but it's a single room with a bed and a bathroom. And the meals are served at the dorm. Okay, and we can talk about meals. We don't have to talk about them now, but we can talk about them later. Okay, so you know that the University of Salamanca, which is an unbelievable, incredible place, is the third oldest university in Europe. It was founded in the year 1218. So 2 years ago, they celebrated their 800th anniversary, if you can imagine that. And it's a very, very large university. There are about 30,000 students. Is that right?
It's around 35,000, but
Okay.
there's also the private universities, about 5,000 more, so around 40,000.
So it's a very kind of young place. And now I forgot your question. That's what happens.
Oh, the walk, yeah. The walk to the.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so if there is a main campus of Salamanca, it's in Old Salamanca, around which is basically what you see behind me. And there are lots of places there where students have classes. The classes you'll be taking the science classes are not in Old Salamanca. So Marcia is right now standing in the middle of the Plaza Mayor, which is the very center of Old Salamanca. And it's where everybody goes to meet, and it's the most beautiful plaza in all of Spain.
I'm sharing a Google map, so they will understand much better.
Where you will be taking classes is in the Neuroscience Institute, which is a really, really neat building. But it's about a 20-minute walk from the Plaza Mayor. Okay. The dorm, I know that last year, the dorm was about a 5 or 10-minute walk from the classes. And I think that the new dorm is also very close to classes. And probably, I'm guessing, Javier, about 20 to 25 minutes from Plaza Mayor. Is that right?
So I will show you directly on the map. The Institute for Neuroscience is located right here. You see? Okay. And the dorm is going to be, let me see, right here. So let me check how much walk this is.
5 minutes.
Walking.
Oh, it's by car.
Walking, it's how much?
20-minute walk.
20 minutes.
20-minute walk.
That's to get to the school. Well, it's a little less because Google is not doing the best way to get there.
And anyway, I'm sure you guys walk faster than.
And the center of Salamanca, the Plaza Mayor, is right here. So that's about 5 to 10 minutes walk.
So
you are closer.
So actually, that's one of the things students complained about a little bit. Students complained a lot about a lot of things. But one of the things they complained about was they thought that the dorm was too far from the center of Salamanca. So it's been kind of switched a little bit coming up, is that you'll be much closer to the center of Salamanca and about 15, 20 minutes from class. But all your classes, except for maybe the Spanish class, are in that building. So once you're in that building, that's where your classes will be. And I don't know, and I don't know if Javier knows the class schedule yet, but last year, the science classes were all between 4 and 7 p.m.
Yeah, that's more or less what it will be. That's what we plan. It could be until maybe 8:30 p.m. Could be, but yeah, it will be in the afternoon, between 4 and 8:30, more or less.
But
It looks like it's late in the afternoon, but in Spain you have meal. I mean, your main meal at 2 p.m. So it's quite normal.
and in fact, um, people eat the later meal, the dinner meal. Many restaurants don't even open until 9 p.m. So, and in fact, I believe, I could be wrong, but I think the late meal at the dorm is probably around 9 p.m. Would that be
Yeah,
correct?
the dorm it will begin at 9 p.m. and it probably will last until 10:30, 11 p.m. That's quite normal.
So being in Spain is like kind of like a college student's dream, because Spaniards don't go to bed till 2, 3 in the morning.
No, that's a little late, but yeah, but 12, noon and no, not noon, sorry. Um, yeah, midnight and 1 o'clock is quite normal. Yeah.
So I've taken students 6 times abroad, once to Japan, once to Venice, Vienna, and Slovenia. And I would rate the experience we had in Spain above all of them. I thought it was, I thought we learned more about Spain than I learned about any of the other countries I was in. Um, and I just think it was especially for the first time we ran it, it was a really good program, and you get to do science, and there are labs that you can visit. If if you work this out right, if you met people and network with people, you might even be able to come back to Spain and do some research in somebody's lab, maybe in the summer or something like that. We can't. That's not something we can guarantee, but if it's something that you're interested in, we know people, we can talk to people. Is that in the spring of 2022, the resident professor will not be me. So as much as I would like to go there every year, I can't go there every year. So the resident professor will be, both in 2021 and 2022, a Spanish professor. All right. So the person who will kind of be in charge of the science classes is Juan Carlos. And he is an excellent scientist and an even better teacher. I was saying the students who were there in the last fall, at the end of the semester, asked if it would be okay if I stayed in Salamanca and Juan Carlos went back and took my place. He's really, really good. They loved, he taught neuroscience methods and I taught sensory biology, and they loved his class. They absolutely loved his class. He'll probably be, so probably the way they'll do it in Spain is, in Salamanca, is especially the science classes will be taught by more than one person. So for example, the biochemistry course, I expect to be taught by at least 4 people. Not at the same time. So, one will give 4 lectures and the next will come in and give 4 lectures. And I suspect the other classes will be taught the same way.
Well, as far as I know, I'm not sure if this is already said, but I think they set a limit of 3 professors.
Okay.
For
okay.
maximum for each course.
Okay.
But that's not a final decision.
So we have plenty of time before the spring of 2022. We're still interviewing people for 2021. But here's the way it works is you fill out the completely fill out the application. I read over the application. You make an appointment to interview with me. I can tell you almost immediately after the interview whether or not you've been accepted. So the sooner you the sooner you fully complete the application, the sooner we can have the interview. If you've been accepted, you have to send to Wake Forest a $500 non-refundable deposit to to hold your place, and then you're good to go. Oh, the other thing I forgot to tell you was, if you have any kind of financial aid or loans to go to Wake Forest, they can be used for the Salamanca program. They count toward the Salamanca program because this is Wake Forest. Unlike I don't know if you guys have ever heard, which is my favorite Wake non-affiliate program, is the DIS, the Danish Institute for Study Abroad. I don't believe you can take your Wake Forest financial aid. Is that wrong, Marcia?
You can, but it works differently. So it's
Okay.
it's more of a
Okay.
percentage wise instead of
Okay.
all of the money, but it can be a little bit more expensive doing a program that's not a Wake program, depending on where it is.
Actually, if the way this works during the semester is the only extra cost for you going to Spain are your trips that you take on your own and the souvenirs that you buy. Everything else is about the same. Food prices are lower than they are in Winston-Salem. I don't know about clubs and things like that because I don't go into clubs and things like that. So I don't know how expensive those are. Wake's not going to pay for that.
Much cheaper.
Much cheaper? Okay, much cheaper than Winston-Salem.
Too cheap.
Too cheap. So it's very cost effective to go to a Wake Forest program during the semester.
I would like to add that I think that this is an experience of life. I mean, you will never have an opportunity like this anymore. I always tell this to students. Going abroad is something incredible. And I would say it's incredible to do it with Wake Forest because everything is included. You have lots of activities, trips, everything. I mean, it's incredible. It's the best program out there for studying abroad in science.
I'd agree with that. All right, so anybody have any other questions? If you do, just email me or Javier or Marcia, and we'll be able to answer your questions. And if we don't know your answer to your questions, we'll find somebody who does. All right? All right.
Okay.
Have a great weekend.
I hope to see you in Spain.